Hello everyone, I'm Naval Yamul. So in this video, we are going to see what is the difference between Hadoop and Apache Spark, and we are going to see in detail what is the architecture of Spark. So when it comes to Hadoop, Hadoop, these all are the big data frameworks. So Hadoop is specially designed for batch processing. And on top of the Hadoop, you have Apache Storm. Apache Storm is used for only real-time processing. If you have a streaming data, then Apache Storm is used. But when it comes to Apache Spark can handle both. It can be processed in both, like a batch processing as well as real-time processing. So it accepts both. So let us see the definition of Hadoop. So when it comes to Hadoop, so if you ask me like Hadoop is nothing but it is a framework to solve the complex data problem, complex data problem or complex big data problem. So it is donated to Apache Foundation in 2009. Apache Hadoop is one of the most popular used tool in the big data industry. So it is open source framework from Apache and it is used to store the data and it is used to process the data. Storage data can be done by using HDFS, that is Hadoop Distributed File System, and it can be processed in MapReduce. So that are the core components of Hadoop. So if you look at the core components of Hadoop, you have HDFS and that is for storage. You have MapReduce, that is for processing, and you have a cluster manager or a resource manager. It is called YAN. So these three are the core components of the Hadoop 2.0. Hadoop 2.0. So let us look at the definition of Apache Spark. So Spark can be considered as the successor of the Hadoop. So there are some limitations in Hadoop. So on top of Hadoop, they have built a Spark. So the Spark creators are different, and to overcome the drawbacks of it, so Spark, unlike Hadoop, it supports both real-time as well as batch processing. We will see in detail what is real-time and batch processing in the next slide. So it is a general purpose clustering system. We'll see about that. And it supports in-memory calculation. So when it comes to Apache Spark supports in-memory calculation, whereas Hadoop supports in-disk calculation. So what do you mean by in-memory and in-disk? We are going to see in detail in the next slide. So because of this in-memory, Spark is almost 100 times faster than Hadoop in terms of memory calculation. It is possible by reducing the number of read and write operations to the disk. So what is this all about? We will see in the next slide. It offers a high level API. It means you can use Java, you can use Python, you can use Scala, and you can use R in Apache Spark. And you can not only use a Spark as a framework, you can go with Spark SQL. You can do some machine learning workloads using Spark. You can use graphics using Spark. Also, Spark is used for streaming. Streaming is it is real-time workload can be supported with Spark. So Apache Spark unifies batch processing. So you can do batch processing in Apache Spark as well as real time stream analytics. You can have a machine learning workloads, a interactive SQL user interface. So you can use SQL also in Apache Spark. Now let us look at what is the difference between your batch processing and a real-time processing. So just imagine like with this image you can see you have tons of information and you want to process those information, and you can fetch the data, and there's some employee sitting here. You will do some transformation, you will fetch that data, and then you load that into a system. So basically take some time, and we call it as a batch processing. I can give you some real-time examples. Suppose if I want to see a pay scale about pay scale of the employees. So I need a pay scale, I need a payment slip only after 30 days. So that can be considered as an example of a batch processing. So your data is stored and you are not processed it immediately. Your data is stored, you can process that maybe after 1 hour, maybe after 1 day, maybe after 1 week, maybe after 1 year also. It is stored somewhere, and whenever you want to do some analysis on that, whenever you want to do some real like you want to create a reports, or if you want to do some transformation, then you extract the data from here and then you start transforming it. Once you transform it, then you can load that into your SQL database. So this can be done like in a batch wise. Batch means it is having or taking some time to do transformation. Your data is stored and it is not processed immediately when your data enters. So what do you mean by immediately? So it means like when I get the data into my storage, immediately, like within a fraction of seconds, I should start transforming it, and I should start creating reports or whatever information I want. I can do that by using real time. The best example I can give you is your banking on real time. Suppose I am withdrawing some amount from my ATM or from my net banking. It should immediately reflect in my bank account that this much amount has been debited. So if it is not updating, if it is updating like maybe after 1 hour, 2 hours, it will meet excuse me, it will definitely will lead to a misinterpretation that I have that much amount in my account, but even though I have withdrawn it. So banking should be real time. Or if it comes to the e-commerce, suppose if you take example of Amazon, for example, and if you are purchasing some products there, suppose I'm purchasing an iPhone, for example, they have an inventory there. They have set an inventory, suppose 50 there. And if 50 people purchases there, suppose one or two people purchases there, immediately this inventory should be updated to 49, updated to 48, updated to 47. If this is not updating, for example in batch, if you consider this as a batch and if it is not updating, so there will be again a huge traffic coming on this like for this product, and again there will be chances like you may not get that phone. So there will be lot of confusion again if you are not updating it in a real time. So real time is when you get a data immediately you start processing it. That is real time. When it comes to batch processing, you have a data, you can process that at any time. Like you have some delay in that. You can process that maybe after 20 minutes, after 1 month, after 1 day, anything. This is a difference between batch and real time. So when it comes to Hadoop, it supports only batch processing. When you talk about Spark, it supports both batch processing as well as real-time processing. So because of batch processing and real-time processing, Apache Spark has become so much popular and it's so powerful. So let us move forward and see what is the difference between Hadoop and Spark. So if you look at the history of Hadoop, actually Hadoop like they have implemented the research papers which was published by Google, but it was actually an Yahoo's project. I have told you a few computer scientists who have worked on this project. Those were Doc Cutting and Mike. These two people were major who were working on this research papers which Google has published, and they have started this project in 2006. But when it comes to Spark, so Mateha Zaharia is the person behind, like, inventor of this Spark. He has founded Spark. He was started working on this with few of the students on his lab in 2009 2010, and he had published that in 2012. Now when it comes to speed, when it comes to speed, Hadoop is obviously faster than your traditional system. If you take any single machine and if you compare it with the Hadoop's MapReduce and HDFS, obviously Hadoop is faster. But Spark is even faster than Hadoop, that too 100 times. So we need to discuss how Hadoop, how Spark is faster than Hadoop 100 times. So let us deep dive into like traditional system, and how Hadoop works and how Spark works and why we are saying that Spark is 100 times faster. So let us understand there in this like whiteboard. So when suppose you are reading a CSV file, for example, in Hadoop, okay, in Hadoop. So let us take, in Hadoop, you are reading a CSV file. Also in Spark, we are going to read the same CSV file, and let us see what would be the difference. So once you have read the file, so what is happening behind the scene, you can see there. So this read operation, this is a read operation, read transformation. This transformation is taking place on the disk, on the disk. So it will go, it will like put all your records on the disk. That is, first transformation is done. And suppose if you read the data and now you want to do some transformation, like you want to select few of the columns from there, if you want to rename some column names, if you want to add some column names, so you will fetch the data from the disk. You do suppose first transformation is, I am using select, for example, I'm using selecting, renaming, all those things. Okay, I'm doing first select, and after that select, this transformation again you need to write that on disk. You write it on disk. On this disk again, if I do some transformation, you need to fetch the data from here, again do the second transformation, again you write that to the disk, again you fetch the data from the disk, you do the third transformation, again you put that in a disk. So every time we are using a disk in Hadoop. So finally now I can say that I have transformed everything. Now I want to write that somewhere. I am writing it. So again I will use a disk. I will fetch the data from the disk, and again I'll write the data frame, or then I'll put that in a disk again. So here for every transformation, so your disk means your storage. So we talked about a virtual machines, like distributed virtual machines. On that virtual machines, we are talking about resources. So every machine has some resources, like means we have a storage, we have a RAM on that. So when it comes to Hadoop, it will do most of the things on the disk. So if I go like reading a data, then you are doing transformation, you are then doing transformation 2, then you are doing transformation 3, then you are doing transformation 4, and then you are writing this. So all this is performed on disk. So disk, like it is a performed on the storage. But when it comes to Spark, when it comes to Spark, let me write it here only. When it comes to Spark, so what Spark smartly does, so read and write are performed on disk, on disk, on disk, and when it comes to transformations, 1, 2, 3, 4, any transformation, this is all performed on memory. That is your RAM. So because of this RAM or because of this in memory computation, Spark is 100 times faster than Hadoop. Faster in, so Spark is 100 times faster when it comes to in memory calculation, in memory computation, and Spark is almost 10 times faster when it comes to in disk computation. So this reading and writing, it is making 10 times faster, and the transformation is going to take place 100 times faster in memory. So because of this, so we say that Hadoop works on in disk or on disk computation, whereas Spark works on in memory computation. Let us go back to our PPT, and I hope we have covered this point now. Like, it is faster than the traditional system, it is 100 times faster. I have explained how it is 100 times faster. Then when it comes to Hadoop, it is lengthy and a complex framework, but Spark is very simple and user friendly. We are going to see that in real time. Then Hadoop is designed only to handle the batch processing, whereas Spark is designed to handle both batch as well as real time. Okay, then with this point, let us go further and see. Hadoop is an open source framework. Open source framework. Obviously, Spark is also an open source framework, which is which uses a map reduce algorithm. So for processing, Hadoop uses a map reduce, and when you are talking about Spark, Spark is a lightning fast cluster computing technology that is extended model of your map reduce. So we already had a map reduce algorithm. On some extension there, I've built a Spark. So this map reduce model to efficiently use with more types of computations. We are going to talk about that in coming slides. Then the next point, I have discussed it, like Hadoop map reduce model reads and writes from a disk, whereas Spark reduces the number of read and write cycles to the disk and store intermediate data in memory. So let me show you. So this intermediate data to memory, read and write on disk, whereas Hadoop will take care of everything on disk. So that is why it is more faster than Hadoop. Then talking about the cost, pricing, you will be surprised to know like Hadoop is of low cost and Spark is of high cost. Can you think? So I'll give you the best example. Like when it comes to cost, you might think like Hadoop will cost you more. No, Hadoop will cost you less when you compare to Spark. So just imagine Hadoop is working on disk. So Hadoop need more disk and Spark is working on memory. So they need more RAM. Okay, more RAM. So let us take a simple example. Suppose I want to purchase, apologize. So suppose I want to purchase 1 or maybe 2 TB of hard disk. Okay, 2 TB of hard disk, external hard disk. So it may cost me around 4 to 5 thousand. I don't know exactly. It may cost me around 4 to 5 thousand. But at the same time, if you want to purchase 16 GB of RAM, 16 GB RAM, so that will also cost me around 5,000. You can see, like, we are getting 2 TB storage when you are talking about like on disk, like storage, it is taking 2 TB, 5,000. And when you are talking about RAM, it is 16 GB is costing the same. So because of this, in memory, I mean, for more RAM, you need to pay more. For Hadoop, it works on the storage, it works on the disk. I mean, storage is your disk, that is a low cost. Let me give you one more example, like how Spark is faster than Hadoop. It is 100 times faster. We have seen that, but let me give you one more simple analogy to understand you between the speed of Hadoop and Spark. So if you, like, we are talking about speed of Hadoop compared with Spark. Okay, a simple analogy to understand this question. Analogy. Suppose if you ask me my phone number, so I can tell you my phone number within 1 second. Like, I know my phone number. I can say like 123. I can say my phone number. If you ask me my email address, I can say in 1 second, because my phone number, my email address is all stored in my memory. In my memory. Suppose if you ask me my relatives or my friend's phone number, my friend's phone number, which I might not know his phone number, so it may take at least 20 to 30 seconds to fetch the data. Like, I have to go unlock my phone, go to my phone book and contacts and search his name, and then I would get his number, like something 345, something like that. So this is in desk. So whatever in desk, it will obviously take much time. This is in storage. So this is exactly how your Hadoop works when you compare with Spark. So Spark is very fast in memory. It will take only few seconds, whereas Hadoop, it is always referring to the storage, always referring to the disk. It takes more time. So this is the difference between Hadoop and Spark. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for watching. So please like the video, subscribe to my channel, please share it with your friends. Thank you for watching again. In the next video, we are going to see what is the Spark architecture. Thank you.